You've got to be passionate about the businesses that you buy, because you do have to ask yourself the question, why did you get involved? You've got to make them work, because there's a lot of things that rely on the success of that. I put a lot of work into what I do, and as far as a work-life balance, I have my downtime, but my downtime isn't normal to most. My days consist of being up very early in the morning. I am in bed by 10, half 10, lights out, but chances are I will be working for the majority of the time that I'm up. But if I do need to get away, I'm a firm believer in the ball must come back in order to go forward. So if I feel as though I do need to recharge, I completely take myself out of a situation. And if that consists of a spa weekend, I'm on that spa weekend. When we're setting goals, we purposely go away for a week to set them goals, because I'm a firm believer, again, of making sure that you're out of the environment in order to set them goals. So I'm very conscious of work-life balance and burnout, but I'm a firm believer also that burnout only exists when it's directed towards bad stress. Bad stress is where you allow it to build up and where you're not dealing with it. So I don't truly believe that burnout exists. You just got to self-check in and making sure that you're being resourceful with that time. And if you are burning the candle, it's productive and it's making you move closer towards your goal. One thing I've learnt though is to make sure that you're eating the right stuff, because unfortunately I've done quite a bit of work in losing a bit of weight recently, and I intend to keep like that. So unfortunately eating habits used to be horrific whilst on the road, but now I make sure I'm eating the right things and staying away from stuff like that. Water and a protein bar, now we're talking. It's bad. This is how much time I used to spend on the road that I ended up used to know the first name terms of the wagon drivers. Bad do. Some people do blame the job, as I was saying there about the health implication, is you do just get comfortable. You spend your time on the M1 and people get themselves into McDonald's and KFC and things like that, and they wonder why they're looking like a house end. So when you are spending time on the road, you do need to be careful. Long hours, the car needs feeding. You've got to be passionate about the businesses that you buy, because you do have to ask yourself the question, why did you get involved? You've got to make them work, because there's a lot of things that rely on the success of that. Each business that we purchase requires the same amount of effort and energy as does the last. So you've got to be passionate about it. But the biggest thing is you've got to go in with a game plan. You need to be really looking at that business plan of how you're going to make that business work. Certainly if you're buying a business that's underperforming or failing, because if you don't turn things around, you're just taking on the liability and more debt. So you have to turn the tide and make it work. Dream big and achieve big. When you say I want to be a millionaire, the question you should be asking yourself is, why don't you want to be a billionaire, a trillionaire? What I find with entrepreneurs is their dreams and goal setting, they're still setting relatively small and very achievable goals. I learned a very valuable lesson. About 3 or 4 years ago, I went away and set some goals, and by about March, April time, I'd hit all the goals and felt a bit deflated. So the year after, when I went away, I set some goals which I thought, right, they're meaty goals, they're big, and it got me till about August, September. I'd achieved them. The year after, this was monumental. I went out and set the goals, and I went, right, I'm having you. I'm going to set these goals so far away that they almost feel unachievable. And I got to them. But my policy is if you're aiming for the stars, if you hit the moon, that's cool. What's worse, being able to set some goals and achieving it and feel underwhelmed, or hitting goals so far away that don't seem achievable, that when you just come just before them, let's say, you can look back on that last 12 months and go, do you know what, I've absolutely smashed the year.